What up everyone? It's your big sister Chloe. So a few disclaimers before we start this video. One, there's a little bit of construction going on outside, so you might hear some drilling, and I'm really sorry. It's hot AF right now. It's like 90 degrees outside and all my windows are closed so I can keep the audio as clear as possible. So please excuse me if you see me sweating and if my face looks like moist. It's hot.
Dude, it is freaking hot in here.
Please excuse my sweat. So I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube lately about how to know if your friend is toxic or how to know if it's time to cut off a toxic friend. I think these videos are important because not everybody can tell if their friend is being toxic, especially if you consider them a close friend, somebody that you love and care for. And you can't always tell if they are harming you emotionally or if they're crossing your boundaries. But I've also been thinking about this issue from a flipped perspective. What if you are the toxic friend, and how do you even know if you're being toxic? What if you don't know? So over the past few years, I've been on a journey of a lot of introspection and holding myself accountable for my own actions and my behavior. Ew, wait, did I just sound like Jeffree Star there? And looking back at the past and the way that I've treated my friends, I realized that sometimes I've been the toxic friend. So for the most part, I do think that I'm a good friend to the people who matter the most to me, and people who know me know that sometimes I don't respond right away or I just need time and space. But I do think that there are ways that I could improve looking back at my past behavior and a lot of things that I had to unlearn to become a better person to the people in my life. So in this video, I'm going to talk about different ways that you can notice if you are being toxic in your own behavior and ways that you can unlearn this and become a better person to the people in your life too. And this video isn't to shade or shame anybody for their actions or label anybody as a toxic person. I definitely think that you can do toxic things, but that doesn't make you a bad person all around. You're not evil or anything, and I still think that people deserve love and friendship, even if they can be toxic at times, because a lot of the times when people behave in toxic ways, it's because they have things that they feel bad about in themselves, or they have to unlearn this behavior that they've learned from maybe their parents or their families or other people who have treated them poorly in the past. And I think that we should always hold space for others to grow, even if you don't want to keep them in your life anymore, which is totally fine. I still think that if you are a person who does toxic things sometimes, there's still hope and you can unlearn those behaviors and grow and commit to being a better person the way that I am also trying to do. I mean, I'm not perfect, I'm still really trying, but the point is that we're here to grow and try to better ourselves, and what more can you ask for? So on this channel, I'm going to be very open and talk about ways that I've messed up myself. And if you've dealt with any of these toxic behaviors that we're talking about, or dealt with a toxic friend, or noticed these behaviors in yourself, I'd love to hear your stories and learn from your experiences too, so please share below in the comments, and let's just get into it. Okay, sign number one that you may be a toxic friend. You're always unloading onto your friends. So when I say unloading, I mean emotionally and sharing what's going on, but to a point where it's excessive and you're expecting them to fix your problems. So before I started seeing a therapist, I was doing this basically every day to my close friends and my close cousin. I would tell them things like, oh, I'm worried that my ex-boyfriend is gonna move on without me, or worrying if he's checking out other girls, or if I was going through something with my family, or just different things that were going on inside me. But most of these things were stories that I was creating in my own head based on my anxiety and my insecurities, and I wasn't doing the work to take care of those issues in myself. I was just passing on the burden to other people who I expected to take care of it for me by giving me advice whenever I felt like I needed it. And asking other people for advice all the time is a form of self-betrayal. It's not trusting yourself to make your own decisions. It's also kind of selfish because you're expecting other people to do the work for you when you're not doing it yourself. I used to think that I needed people to tell me what to do because I didn't feel confident in my own decision making or my own opinions about things. And it was kind of funny because after I started my blog, Love Screwed, you can check that out at lovescrewed.com, a lot of people started reaching out to me because I was writing about really personal things like insecurities, self-love, relationships, and whatnot, and people would just message me and ask me for life advice or advice about their own relationships. And I was like, I don't really know, I'm just trying to figure all this out on my own. I got to a point where I was thinking, man, everybody's always asking me for advice. I wish I could give myself advice, but the thing is you can. Nobody knows your circumstances or what you're going through any more than you do. When you think about it, you're the expert of your own life. Who could give you better advice about what to do in your situations than you. So eventually I started to realize this, and I stopped unloading all of my thoughts and processing my emotions onto my friends and my cousin to do for me. I started taking the responsibility to do it myself. First by going to therapy, and second by trying to solve my own problems or to think through my own issues without first going to somebody to unload. Point number 2, why you may be toxic. You expect other people to respond on your time, and you can be kind of controlling. To me, this looks like getting upset if your friend doesn't respond to you right away when you expect them to, and you keep tabs on them, and you're like, oh, well, I can see she's liking all these people's stuff on Instagram, she's posting her story, why isn't she talking to me? Does she hate me? These are all things that I used to think, and I would get really mad if I saw other people who were close to me who were responding to other people but not talking to me, and that was really selfish of me. One of my friends posted this last year that she doesn't like how having phones and social media today make us feel like we're obligated to give people access to us and responses 24/7, because when you get a message from somebody, this could be at any time of day, and you're still going to use your phone all day, but you might not necessarily have it in you, have the energy or the time to respond to this person right now. But that doesn't mean that you don't love them or that you don't care about them. It just means that you're not in the headspace for this conversation right now. And honestly, if you don't feel like responding, you don't have to. You're not obligated to. And I think we need to get rid of that idea that everybody should respond to us if they're using their phone right away, and start thinking we all deserve boundaries and to choose when we engage with other people. Just because we have the ability to talk to each other all the time doesn't mean that we necessarily have to or should. I mean, yeah, if it's something urgent, like if you have plans together and you want to see if they're gonna show up, or you're just double checking things, I think obviously you should respond right away, but I'm talking about things that don't need a response immediately. Like if you're talking about an issue that's really weighing heavily on you and you send long messages, which is what I was doing. If they're taking longer to respond, sometimes that means they're just trying to be thoughtful with what they say to you, and you can't hold that against them either, or why should you? So for a long time, I would get mad if a family member or a friend or anybody was not responding to me when I expected them to, but honestly, that's really selfish and controlling. Like, what makes me think that my timeline is when they should respond? I was putting unfair and unrealistic expectations on other people. And the reason why I did this is because I had really low self-esteem, and I would internalize it if somebody didn't respond to me. I would think, oh, they don't love me, or that I'm not good enough for them to talk to me. But I needed to take time to build my sense of self-worth internally and not always rely on others to prove whether I was worthy or not. So if you find yourself falling into the same trap that I did, I would say it's cliche, but just try to remember that everybody is human. Everybody has their own fears and their own worries and anxieties, and they might not always have the time or energy to respond to you in the way that you want them to or when you want them to. And that's okay. The point of having friends is to have somebody who you can share joy and express yourself and share parts of your life with, but they aren't responsible for your overall well-being or everything in your life. I don't think we should ever expect our friends to be at our constant beck and call. That's not fair, and it's not realistic. Sign number 3, that you are a toxic friend. I don't know why I'm making this silly. Let's just have fun with it. You are subtweeting about your friends or other people. This is pretty toxic. So I'm sure most of us have been guilty of throwing our thoughts into the ether and just like, you know, if you're annoyed in the moment, you'll just be like, putting my thought out there. I don't want to hold on to this angry feeling. I just want to throw it out there and not deal with it. But this is again another way of placing the responsibility away from you to deal with those emotions that you are struggling with. It might be jealousy, or if you're annoyed by somebody, just tweeting about it and throwing it out there doesn't really help anybody, honestly. So around 2015 or 2016, I got into this cycle where I would just read too much into certain people's tweets, and if I thought it was about me, I would also tweet something back that was passive-aggressive about this person. Or if somebody did something I didn't agree with, I would tweet passive-aggressively? I have a degree in English. I should probably know this. Anyway, I would internalize those tweets because I thought that they were about me sometimes, and I would use that to criticize myself because I have anxiety. But in the end, like, that doesn't help me in the long run. That just makes me in this cycle of being self-righteous and putting things out that are negative and other people validating it and just doing it over and over. And what if the person sees the tweet and knows that it's about them? Like, that'll make them feel like crap. And if it's your friend, why do you want to do this to them? Maybe you have some issues that you need to look at in yourself before you keep doing this. I've struggled with anxiety and really low self-esteem for a long time, so sometimes I would say mean things about people because honestly it was just a reflection of how badly I felt about myself. So a few years later, I had to return back to Twitter because of my job at the time, and I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to tweet anything passive-aggressive about people anymore. So I just made it in my head, like, I just don't do that anymore. So when I'm about to do it, I get lots of urges, definitely, to tweet something passive-aggressively about somebody, but I will tell myself, wait, that's not something I do anymore, and I already know this isn't gonna make me feel any better, and this isn't the kind of person I want to be. I don't want to pretend that I'm talking about something that needs to be called out, because honestly, most of the time it's just because you're angry or you're annoyed or something that somebody says rubs you the wrong way, but we just gotta stop acting so entitled and stop acting like we're better than other people or superior to other people and that we deserve to get validation for that, because honestly, Twitter is a hellfire and I don't care for it most of the time, but I just stay there because we have a lot of discussions about tomorrow identity and it just helps me stay more connected to my community, and I mean, I guess we just try to make the best out of it. So speaking of acting superior and like you're better than other people, this brings me to point number 4. Why you may be a toxic friend is you force your opinions onto others. So forcing your opinion on others could look like giving somebody relationship advice or telling them to leave their partner, or maybe telling somebody how they should spend their money or what they should do with their career, and so on. So again, because I was such an insecure person when I was younger, I used to feel like I always had to assert myself to prove that I was smart or more reasonable than other people, and I hate even talking about this because it sucks that I used to be like that and treat people this way. I shouldn't have been doing that because everybody has their own lives and their own circumstances and their own experiences, so who am I to act like my opinion about somebody else's life is what's really right for them? Who's to say that we know more than another person about their lives more than they do? And why do we think that we should run their lives? It's selfish. I think we need to start giving people the space to do what's right for them because they know their lives and their situations better than us, even if we're close friends. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's their life. Like, why do you care so much? Why are you so bothered? Probably because you have your own insecurities, and in that case, take yourself out of the situation and turn inwards is my best advice in almost any situation where you feel yourself being toxic. And also think about it the other way around. If it were you and somebody were trying to give you advice that you didn't ask for or that you don't necessarily agree with and you know that it's not right for you, how would you feel? Personally, I feel like my boundaries are violated when a friend or anybody else tries to tell me what I should do with my relationship or my life choices or my career. I know what's right for me, and I appreciate if you give me support, but if you think that I should live my life a different way, you don't really know me. My advice is just respect other people and give them space to live their lives the way that you would want them to do for you. The golden rule. Hello, Catholic upbringing. Point number 5, why you may be toxic, is that you see your friend's success or happiness and you compare yourself to them and you're overly envious. And this one really sucks, and it's still something that I'm personally working on. I don't think it's as bad as it used to be for me when I was at a worse place in my life, mentally and emotionally, but it's still something I struggle with sometimes, at least just like a little sting when you see somebody who's doing something really great and you're like, oh man, my life sucks, or I haven't been doing anything, or what have I been doing, and just feeling bad. I know this is bad behavior, I know it's selfish, I know it's toxic, but we're all just f***ing trying, okay? Anyway, so I do love my friends and I want them to succeed, but you know, I think it's just human to sometimes feel a little bad when you see somebody having this awesome thing and just like the highlights and the best parts of their life, and you're comparing it to where you are right now. You're probably, I mean, I'm wearing makeup right now and like a cute outfit, but most of the time I'm just wearing house clothes at home and, you know, feeling like crap if I'm not doing anything special, especially because it's the pandemic and it's been a boring and rough time. But yeah, just in general, it can be difficult if you're at a low point to see somebody doing super well and at a high point and you're just comparing yourself. This is just a huge issue in general that we have with social media, so if you are guilty of doing this, I don't think you should take it super personally or take it upon yourself to be like, oh, I'm a bad person for ever having any feelings of, man, I wish that my life were better just by seeing somebody else with a great accomplishment. I think we're just used to seeing people at their peaks and the best parts of their lives while you're comparing it to you in your situation right now, which might not be the best or the most exciting or amazing. This is also part of having a scarcity mindset where you think that there's not enough opportunities or space for everybody to shine and do well. But this isn't true unless you and your friend were applying for the same exact job and they did something underhanded and went behind your back and talked crap about you or something. Obviously that's bad and they are taking your opportunity away. But for the most part, I don't know about you, but most of my friends are in different careers or industries. So when they succeed in their area of life, that has nothing to do with me, and it's not going to take away any opportunities away from me. There is room for all of us to shine in our own unique ways because we are all different people who have different experiences and backgrounds and things to offer. Just because somebody else is doing really well in their area doesn't mean that there's not enough room in your sphere to also shine. If you are in the same realm or sphere as your friend and they are doing better at the same industry you're in, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no room for you, because we all have our unique perspectives on things that we can bring to the table. Instead of comparing yourself and thinking, man, I wish I were better, or I wish that I had a better life, or I'm jealous of this person or envious, you should think, what can I do in my current situation and with my current circumstances to better myself and to give myself a better life that I can be happier about, instead of comparing myself to this person's version of what's good for them. Point of this is, when your friend shines, you can shine too. We can all shine together. So these are just a few examples of signs that you may be the toxic friend, and they're all based on my personal experience and different anecdotal experience from friends who've shared their experiences. But I would love to know yours. Please share with me in the comments if you have had a toxic friend, or if you've been the toxic friend, or if you've broken up with a toxic friend, or if you think you need a breakup with yourself because you need to do better. Please let me know in the comments. I want to go back and forth and talk to each other about it. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know if there are other topics you want me to cover, because your big sister is always here to help you. I would love to know what you all think of this video, and if you have any opinions or any things that you want me to talk about next time. So yeah, let's just all grow together. And you can follow me at lovescrewed on Instagram, or Mestiza Chamarita, which is my personal account, and I just kind of post funny things, inspirational things, stupid things, so check me out. Anyway, catch me in my next YouTube video because it's hot as hell and I want to get out of here. Bye!
Sorry for wasting your time, because this is a waste of time. Yeah, bye.